Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education Master in Arts of Teaching virtual webinar. My name is Sion John, and I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Also presenting today, we have Professor and Faculty Lead Dr. Bill Souders. Before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you after the event is complete. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with your colleagues or network. Second, please take this moment to see if your mic is on mute. We ask everyone to have their mic on mute during the presentation. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Please type your question in the chat box at the end of the presentation, and I'll be sure to read the questions out loud for everyone to hear. So first, I would like to share the agenda for today's virtual webinar. We will kick off the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Then Dr. Bill Souders will introduce himself and discuss an overview and details of the MAT program. We also have a current MAT student who will share her experience attending the Johns Hopkins School of Education. And lastly, I will wrap it up with admissions requirements and leave the floor open for questions at the end. To start, so quick facts about Johns Hopkins School of Education. We are one of 9 schools at Johns Hopkins University. We began offering college courses for teachers in 1909 and then became our own school in 2007 and celebrating our 10th anniversary last year. For school enrollment, we have approximately 2,600 students. All programs that lead to licensure is approved by the Maryland State Department of Education. We have campuses in Baltimore, Maryland, Columbia, Maryland, and offer classes online. We are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. At this time, I am going to hand the floor over to Dr. Bill Souders. He is going to introduce himself and present on the MAT program.
Thank you, San. I hope you can hear me. I am Dr. Bill Souders. I've been here at Johns Hopkins now for about 18 years after retiring from the local public school system, where I held teaching jobs and central office jobs. When I came to Johns Hopkins, it was primarily to work in a project then called Project Site Support, in which we were training teachers in inner city schools, specifically in Baltimore, through a federal federal Department of Education grant. And then I kind of, after a while, morphed into the full and part-time MAT program, which is where we are now, and that's why you've tuned into this webinar. So it'll be my pleasure to talk a little bit about the program and why I think it's a really good fit for most people wanting to pick up that teaching degree. Okay, from a helicopter's view of what our program is, I know you're all capable of reading, but let me just kind of run this down. In total, it's 39 graduate credits. 6 of those graduate credits, though, consist of your internship, or what some people call your student teaching. We prefer to call it an internship in Maryland. It's a 1-year program where our candidates enter in the summer and then they leave in the late spring or May with graduation. So it's about 12 months altogether. We offer both face-to-face classes, and about half of the program is online, which has been very popular with students because it allows them to be a little more flexible, especially because while this program is going on, they're teaching full-time in an internship in a school, so they have a very, very busy schedule, and this allows them to spend some time at home working on their coursework and all of their other classroom duties. I'm very proud of the people that I work with. Our faculty is experienced and they're content experts. They're made up primarily of retired teachers or practicing professionals. We have school administrators, we have curriculum coordinators from school systems, we have master teachers that have been recommended by their principals or their superintendents, and most of them have many years of experience and have been with us over the years, and they're just a really good group of people that I really enjoy working with a lot. One of the attractive features of the program is that in the full-time program, people come in together and they leave together. It's a cohort model, and that's allowed students to build a lot of friendships over the years. A few have ended up in marriages, which really isn't part of our program, but it just turned out to be that way because they work so closely together during the year. And they do a lot of social events together on their own. They go to ball games and they go to cultural events in the Washington, D.C. and Baltimore area. And it's they rely on each other a lot because they're in class together, and then they're in their teaching assignment. They're often in the same schools, and they become very close. We like that cohort model. When someone has finished the program, they get two wonderful things. They get a diploma, which has that Johns Hopkins name on it, which has a lot of largesse, and we're very proud of our students that have that. They also become eligible for teaching certification in Maryland. Now, we have some candidates that would prefer to return to their home state, or their spouse, or they get a job in another state. But the nice thing is that a Maryland certification has reciprocity in 38 states and the District of Columbia. If you're interested in what states those are, they're available on the Maryland State Department of Education website because they vary a little bit each year. Okay, so once you're in the program, how do you get your courses from us? Well, the first is the summer semester, and it really is in two sessions. The first session is all online, and we do that because we have candidates moving to the Baltimore area from all around the country. And this gives them time to finish, if they're coming right out of undergraduate school, to kind of finish up and wrap up things there, come to Baltimore, find an apartment, find some place to get a lay of the land while taking their courses online. The actual face-to-face, let's get together and meet each other, really begins in mid-July. And then throughout the rest of the program, they have about half their courses online and half face-to-face. We're really happy that our program is small. I mean, that's really kind of ironic, but it allows for small interactive groups, a lot of class participation and individual preparation. So it's the professors and the students really get to know each other very well because we're a small school, and I think that's a great advantage. The heart of our program is the year-long student teaching or internship, and that's the laboratory for all of the content you learn in your classes. And that internship is usually divided between urban and suburban, or all urban or all suburban, depending on what you're interested in. If you're an elementary candidate, you'll probably do a part of your internship in a primary assignment and half in an intermediate. If you're secondary, you'll do a middle school placement and a high school placement. And I'll talk a little bit more about the internships later on in this presentation. Okay, why should you come to JHU and this program? Well, obviously I'm biased. I think it's a wonderful program, but the nuts and bolts of it, it's designed for recent undergraduate, career changers, and others with an interest in teaching. And that's what's such a nice thing about this cohort model. You get a wide range of ages in the classes. We get people who are retiring from their first career, so they may be in their maybe mid-40s. And then we get people that are coming right out of undergraduate school in their early 20s. So it's a really nice mix. It's a cross-generational, and I just think they learn so much from each other. And as a professor, I learn a lot from them because of their rich experiences. Our program is award-winning. It's a research-based program in collaboration with the JHU research community. that's the schools, the other schools, the School of Medicine, the School of Public Health, the School of Nursing, the Arts and Sciences. We have a very vibrant university, and components of that university lend support to this teaching preparation program. Also, we have terrific K-12 school partners with who emphasize personalized learning. Most of those K-12 partners are right in the Baltimore area. So again, some are suburban, and some of them obviously are the city of Baltimore itself. As I mentioned before, it is a year-long internship, and the really good part about that is you're not on your own. You have two people that are helping you constantly. There's your university supervisor, which is someone that Johns Hopkins hires, and again, these are primarily retired teachers who are expert in the field in which you're seeking certification. And then you have your mentor teacher. Your mentor teacher is your host, the person whose classroom that you're in. And we take great pains to choose those people very carefully after they apply to become mentor teachers, and then they have to get the endorsement of their principal or their curriculum coordinator in their school district. And we interview them, and then we've just been so blessed over the years to have a lot of repeat mentor teachers. So the point is, you're never alone. It's not like being thrown overboard and saying, go teach. It's our commitment to have you be successful. One a special little feature that we have for people who went to Johns Hopkins as undergraduates to the Krieger School of Arts and Sciences is we have a something called the Baltimore Education Fellows Program. If you are a Hopkins graduate from the Krieger Schools of Arts and Sciences, you'll receive a significant tuition support, because that was a commitment by the university president, Ron Daniels, a few years ago. He wanted to make sure that we had a connection with the city of Baltimore, and those Baltimore fellows learn to teach in a school that we operate at Johns Hopkins called the Henderson Hopkins School, which is kind of a laboratory school. We don't really like to use that name because it sounds like we're dealing with lab rats or something, but it's a way in which people can really try their things that they've learned in class. And it's a very exciting place to be. It's a brand new campus. It's only about 7 years old and has state-of-the-art technology. And it's very close. If you're familiar with Baltimore, the Henderson Hopkins School is located very near the hospital. If you're not a Baltimore fellow, you still have the opportunity to work at that school. So it's not just exclusively for the fellows, but the fellows do have to go there to work. It gives a chance for Johns Hopkins to give back to the community of Baltimore. And then as people in our program go through that, they become ambassadors for our university and do good things for Baltimore. Okay, so what are you going to learn when you come here? What kinds of courses do you take? Well, they're all the things that you would expect. We believe strongly that teaching is an art and a science. And so we're going to try to provide support for both of those. Your courses will focus on instruction. What is good instruction? What are good techniques? The pedagogy of teaching. Assessment is how do you know that they know, meaning students, and how do you modify your instruction for that purpose? And data analysis. We believe in teacher researchers. That really good teachers, once they're in their own classrooms, they're constantly evaluating their practice and analyzing what they're doing for that, learning for a lifetime sort of thing. We're also very lucky to have here at Johns Hopkins the Science of Learning Institute, and it focuses on mind-brain research, and that's studying how do people really learn. So it's more than just learning the stuff. That's very important, but it's also, examining how do people learn. There are over 500 neuroscientists at Johns Hopkins throughout the whole university, and they contribute to this effort. So some of the classes you'll take really come out of that Mind-Brain Institute. You'll have the opportunity to work with special populations. In the internships, we have something called intensives. in which you take 3-week stints working with groups of students that have special needs. This could be, for instance, Johns Hopkins is affiliated with the Kennedy Krieger Institute, which are for people that have special learning needs. They may have disabilities, or they've had some kinds of traumatic injuries. So that's a school in itself. It's a high school and an elementary school. You'll have a chance to work in those schools. We have schools which are special populations that are ELL, English language learners. So schools that have high populations of immigrant children that have language difficulties because English is not their primary or first language. There's the Johns Hopkins Center for Talented Youth, which, as the name would imply, it's dealing with special populations of gifted and talented. And we're constantly on the lookout for other ways that we can get our candidates to work with special populations, because we know one of the trends for the future is the schools will become more and more diverse, and you have to be equipped with an arsenal of tools to work with those special populations. And all of this, of course, is aimed at improving student performance. That's what teaching's all about. If you don't make a difference in helping them learn better, then it is kind of futile. So all of this coursework is aimed at the K-12 students' achievement, and that's measured by the exams that they take, and then we work with the school systems, and each of the schools we cooperate with sets learning goals for the year, and then we sit down with them and say, how can our interns help you meet these goals? And we're very concerned with teacher wellness. This is just confession. Teaching is a tough job, and so it's very stressful. It isn't just all, oh, I love you kind of thing with these kids. There are a lot of challenges, and so we're very concerned. We watch over our candidates very closely, and we have all kinds of safety nets in place for people who get stressed, and that's very part of being a teacher. Okay, see, there we go. Okay, we've kind of got over this again, but again, it's a year-long multi-placement internship opportunities for both urban and suburban. So you'd sit down with your advisor and say, you know, I'd like to do half of my assignment in an urban school, which would be Baltimore City, or half of it in a suburban school, could be Baltimore County or Howard County, which are surround the city of Baltimore, or I'd like to do all in one placement and all in another. And we have a long discussion with our candidates about choosing those options, because it may make a difference in their trajectory as far as hiring down the road goes. I've mentioned about these targeted intensives for specialized experiences, the supportive internship team, ensuring success. I mean, I think that's so important. The feedback we get from our candidates is that they really felt like their professors and their mentor teachers and their university supervisors had their back throughout this program. And we also have the good fortune of a full-time school system liaison that we hire, who goes out to the schools and about once a week and visits each school and visits you in your classroom to make sure that things are working well, and brings back any kind of information to us at campus that we need to be aware. All right, Shan. All right, so now you've been with us for a year. How do you know, what do you need to get out? Okay, you need a 3-point GPA throughout the program, and that's, you know, pretty standard for the university-wide. Successful completion of the internship experiences. At the end of the intensives and at the end of each one of the placements, your university supervisor and your mentor teacher will certify that you have met certain criteria to be judged successful. The state of Maryland requires examinations. They're the praxis exams in content and in pedagogy, but now the pedagogy one's called Principles of Teaching and Learning, but those are required examinations. We urge our candidates to get on those early because you don't want to be down in late spring trying to take those exams, because it takes a while sometimes for those results to come back, but your advisor will help you pace that and say, and really be on you about that. And then it's a successful completion of a digital portfolio. Think of it like an artist portfolio. You're going to put together samples of all of the things that you've done over the year and in your coursework and in your internship, and you'll present that to a faculty committee who will then, give you some feedback on it. We're in the process of changing that a great deal. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but it's based on the INTAS standards, which are pretty universally accepted across the country as kind of the structure for teacher education programs. So you present your portfolio, it's judged to be proficient. So those things make up the requirements for graduation and completion of the program. We also try to help you prepare for employment. We have an annual recruitment fair with local school districts. That usually is in March. We arrange for mock interviews with school leaders. So you have a comfort level of interviewing and reviewing, and in your coursework, you review the kinds of questions that you would be asked. We prepare letters of recommendations from advisors and from the internship team. We network with local and state education agencies to make sure that our candidates are seen as desirable. And we organize school visits if this is something that you would like. For instance, you might want to visit a charter school, or you may want to visit a private school in our area. So we try to make sure you get exposure to those through school visits. And I am now going to allow our current student to speak about herself and her experiences here.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Calderon, and as Dr. Souders mentioned, I'm currently a student in the MAT program. I'm a part of I believe it's called the Accelerated program, so it's the 1 year that we've been talking about. And so I'm just going to speak a little bit to the experiences that I've had in the program and highlight some of the components that have really made this program an excellent place to learn how to teach, and also just to learn more about Baltimore in general and become familiar with different schools in the city. So part of the program that really stands out to me as a very good strength are the diverse experiences that we have as candidates. As Dr. Souders mentioned, this year we had an intensives model, which is where we went to 4 different placements in the fall, each for 3-week stints or 3-week time spans. And so the first one was centered around the beginning of the year and getting to know our mentor teacher, and then learning the logistics and the strategy behind setting up a classroom. And prior to being in this program, I studied psychology in undergrad, so I wasn't one that necessarily knew much about this, and so it was a very valuable experience to be with a mentor teacher that sort of walked me through their logic and their reasoning behind how they set up their classroom. After that, we went to our ESOL or ELL intensive, which is where we got placed to a different school within Baltimore City, so we were able to meet a whole new set of staff and be exposed to all different kinds of professionals, which was wonderful in terms of collaborating with others within the school community and learning how to teach a variety of students. After that, we had a literacy intensive, which was just a great way to focus on literacy, how one can teach literacy and help develop literacy in the elementary age group. And then lastly, we did our special ed intensive, which, as Dr. Souders mentioned, was at Kennedy Krieger. And this was just a wonderful experience to be exposed to Kennedy Krieger as an institution and just different strategies that we can use in our future classrooms. And then additionally, as Dr. Souders mentioned, and I also mentioned in my bio, we have a wonderful amount and variety of coursework. All of the courses that we take now in the spring, we're able to apply much of what we've learned. So it's been a really great way to take what we've learned in the classroom to a real life setting. And then another part of the program that is wonderful is the supportive staff and mentors. As Dr. Souders mentioned, not only do we have our program and academic mentors, but we also have mentors in our placements and then the school liaison that is there to work with us and help us whenever we might need it. So for example, in addition to the school, we also have the mentor in our spring internship. And so now that the fall is over and we're beginning our spring semester, we've been placed with one mentor that we get to work with for the duration of January to the end of April. So it really gives us time to develop that relationship with them and also get to learn more about them and how they work in their classroom and different strategies and different techniques they use with their kids. And lastly, another part of the program that I really enjoy is the cohort model. This year, our cohort is 9 full-time MAT students, and then we also have 3 or 4 flexible MAT program students that we have some classes with. So with the main 9 students, we've been together since the summer, so we've been there to help each other, encourage each other, and we're also available to meet up with each other and just go closer as a cohort as the time progresses. And yeah, that's all I have to say about the program so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. So at this time, we are now going to continue by going over the application requirements. So applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on our website, and also submit a $80 application fee when you submit your application. Priority consideration date is April 1st. Applications accepted after this date is dependent on space availability. After you submit your application, you will receive a confirmation email with instructions on how to upload your supporting documents. Be sure to provide an accurate email address and that you check it regularly, as this is how we will communicate with you throughout the application process. You will also need to submit a current resume or CV, and you should submit 2 letters of recommendations from individuals who can, 3 letters of recommendations who can speak to your work with children and youth. Next, 500-word essay must be uploaded describing your professional's goals and how the program will assist meeting those goals. We will need all transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. Please note that we will look at your transcript and evaluate courses from your undergraduate transcript as part of the admissions process. Test scores, such as Praxis 1, SAT, ACT, or GRE scores are required. Please visit our website to learn more about the passing score requirements. Lastly, a select number of students will be invited to an interview to meet with faculty members. Applicants will be asked to provide a written response to a prompt and respond to classroom scenarios provided by faculty interviewers. There are a few additional steps you need to take in order to complete the application process. If you are an international student, you must submit a TOEFL or IELTS score. If your degree was completed outside the US, you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation. Additional information can be found on our website. The current tuition for the School of Education is $774 per credit for face-to-face courses and $840 per credit for online courses and a $10 technology fee. We anticipate the tuition for the 2019-2020 academic school year will be $793 per credit for face-to-face courses and $840 per credit for online courses. The total cost of the program would be approximately $31,491. About approximately 12 credits will be online, and also 27 credits will be face-to-face. Again, a total of $31,491. Please note additional fees apply and are charged separately from tuition. We encourage you to view our tuition and fees page on our website For the most up-to-date information about tuition and fees so that you can get an understanding, the complete picture of the costs associated with becoming a student here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. If you're interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your application. Please note the priority financial aid application deadline listed on this slide. Please visit our website if you have any questions relating to financial aid. You'll find contact information for the Office of Financial Aid and details of loans and scholarships that are available. If you have any questions relating to your application, please feel free to email or call us. Also, this is the address you would use to send any supporting materials such as transcripts. Any admissions relating questions, please contact Summer Dawson at summer.dawson@jhu.edu, and there's her phone number. Any program related, especially if you're interested in the secondary program, Dr. Bill Souders' contact information is on the slide. And then if you're interested in the elementary MAT program, please contact Dr. Mary Ellen Beatty O'Farrell. Thank you for attending the Johns Hopkins School of Education Master of Arts in Teaching virtual webinar. At this time, Dr. Bill Souders and I would like to open up the floor for questions. Again, please type your question in the chat box and I will read your questions out loud. All right, so we do have, we have some couple questions. And Bill, this is a question for you. The first question is, how large is the MAT secondary program starting in summer?
Typically, we have about 10 candidates in the cohort for secondary. And that for next year, that'll be across people seeking certification in English and in social studies.
And would that be the same for elementary as well? How large is the elementary MAT program, Bill?
We're aiming for 10 as well. We'd obviously like more. We don't have an upward cap, but you know, our experience has been 10 students in each of those cohorts is a really good number.
Got it, thank you. We have our second question. Is there other starting times for this program?
Not for the full-time or the accelerated program because it is a cohort. They enter as a group and exit as a group. We also have the flexible option, which is more of a rolling admission. Have to complete the program, but they have to be very careful about when they schedule courses because those courses are the same courses as the full-time program. So they have to make sure that they kind of, over that 5-year period, pick up all the courses at the right time. But that's rolling admissions for the flexible program.
Thank you. Our next question, someone asked, can I hold a part-time job while enrolled in the MAT Accelerated program?
No, that's the simple answer. No. In the flexible program, yes, but in the full-time program, because you're taking 39 graduate credits in a 12-month period, it's not possible. And you're doing it. You're in the school every day. The schools are open, doing your student teaching. So holding a part-time job is not feasible.
All right, wonderful. We have a question in regards to course load. Can you please repeat the course load for the accelerated program, summer, fall, spring?
All right, let's hope this adds up to 39 because it switches. In the summer, it is 15 credits. That's across 2 summer sessions. Then the remaining credits are spread pretty evenly through fall and spring. The spring semester is a little lighter. I think it's 3 credits lighter. And the only reason I'm hedging my bet is that we're right in the process now of adding some online courses that we're kind of excited about. We're trying to see how those will fit in there. But a good way to look at it, you've got 39 credits with 15 out of the way in the summer, and then the remaining credits spread across, so 12 and 12. And there is no, beginning next year, there'll be no winter intersession. So it's just fall and spring. So 15, 12, and 12. I hope that adds up to 39. I don't have a pad here. But like I said, we're working on the credits right now, but they're spread pretty evenly among the 3 semesters.
All right, a couple more questions for you actually, Bill. Next one is, I am interested in secondary ed English, but am not sure if I have all the content courses needed to qualify for the program.
Okay, well, this is how that works. Depending on what your undergraduate major was, if it was English, if you're an English major, then you're in. I mean, there's no. But what happens if we do a transcript evaluation? The content review sheets, which are the ones we use in evaluating transcript, are available online, so you can have an idea of the courses we'll be looking for. But typically with English, we're looking for literature courses, composition, poetry, some media, maybe a film course, something like that. What happens is we evaluate a transcript. If we find that a student hasn't met the threshold, and I should have said this threshold is really the certification threshold. It isn't something that we set up at Johns Hopkins. It's just that if we're going to recommend you for certification, you have to have met these requirements. If you come in, you have typically, we want you to be no more than 9 credits away from the requirements set by the state. And again, it gets back to that question very similar to the working part-time, is that you're so busy with our program to take on additional coursework is difficult. However, that coursework can be met at a local community college in an online format from another college or university. There are also some institutes that allow courses like the New York Museum of Natural History offers some courses. The Smithsonian offers courses. So there are ways to make up those undergraduate requirements without actually going to a 4-year college. But it's an individual basis. The simplest way to look at it is the closer you are to having 36 undergraduate credits in the area in which you're seeking certification, the more likely that you're just fine.
And then Bill, the last question I'm seeing is that the student is asking, can I reach out to you, to Bill, to find out whether if he is pre-qualified?
That's exactly what I was going to say next, and I should have with that English question, is please send me an email, or if it's elementary, please send Mary Ellen, and we will work over, we'll look at, if we have an unofficial transcript, we'll look at it and see what it looks like. Because if you're, you have an opportunity in the spring, if you're not currently in a school, to take some coursework if there is a deficiency. So yes, please send an email, and we'll look at your undergraduate work and give you some advice on what you would need.
All right, well, thank you so much, Bill. Looks like those are all the questions that we have. No questions. Thank you again for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a good evening.